Beyond the finish line, I see the sun rise past the broken lights, through the battles and the lies. Every step I take, I'm leaving chains behind.
Good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, wherever you're listening from, wherever you're watching from. If you are, first off, I appreciate it. If you found this on accident, I talk about everything. I know nothing, but I'm gonna try to sound good doing it at least. College football is it's been chaos. There's been some upsets. We have Heisman front runners that started the season 60 to 1 odds. There's a bunch going on in the college football scenario, or it's just been cinema. You never know. And if your team doesn't show up, they will get beat. I think that when we look at the top teams, Ohio State, I'll be the one to say it. Look, they beat Texas week 1. Yep. They did what they had to do week 1. Who knew what Texas was going to be? Who knows what Texas is now? They obviously beat Oklahoma, so they're a team figuring it out, I guess. But Ohio State has been dominant. They've not really had a hiccup or a blemish or a bad game or a questionable game. They've just taken care of business. So even with Indiana and Texas A&M playing lights out football, I don't think that they should jump because just because of who Ohio State has beaten. Even though again they have shown taking care of business. They go out, they handle business. They've got they've got Penn State coming up this weekend, and at the beginning of the season, everybody had that game circled. Ohio State, Penn State, James Franklin, like that game was circled for later in the year to be a top 5 matchup. When you go back and look at the preseason rankings, like I was talking about last week, I mean they're completely different. Drew Aller, obviously, surgery, fast, speedy recovery, young dude. Get back out there. I think you have a bright future in football ahead of you. But when you look at Ohio State, I think number 1 is their spot. And until proven otherwise, they don't bump down. Indiana, it's pretty cool to have 2 of the Big Ten teams right there. Probably your Big Ten championship game at 1 and 2. And at some point, like conference championships can't affect the college football playoff, because then like that's punishing a team for like I have the hardest angle there. Punishing a team for being good. Now you have 2 losses, but I just think if you make it to your especially when you're talking top 10 going in. Texas A&M, huge win down in Death Valley, beating LSU, which ultimately led to Brian Kelly's firing. Probably a year too late, if we're all being real here. I think that came a little bit too late. I think right now with Alabama at 4, I don't know. That's a good A&M Alabama. That would be a SEC championship for the books. Marcel Reed against that Alabama defense. And as a Georgia fan, it's sometimes painful to say it. I think that Alabama got it right with Kalen DeBoer. Watching him run out of the tunnel with the boys before the Tennessee game he was pumped. I would have liked to have heard his speech prior to running out there. He was fired up. And then again, they go out and handle business. Joey Aguilar throwing the pick right before half did not help any momentum that they might have had going, but again, that's part of it. Oregon, they're kind of just lingering around. Ole Miss at 7. Ole Miss has a sneaky matchup this weekend against South Carolina. Now, I think Lane's probably going to be able to have them ready because he's able to show them, hey, Alabama, South Carolina gave them a hard game. Let's not take them lightly. And so I think that one's going to become some rat poison, as you would call it, for Lane to be able to get the boys ready. And then at 8, Georgia Tech is unbelievable. Haynes King has been so good. And that's with all the coaching carousel going on. Brent Key's name has to be now. Is he leaving GT? Probably not. I don't see it. But sometimes money talks. I don't see him taking another job. Obviously you've got Vandy there at 9. Interesting game with game day down there in Nashville. Playing Missouri. Diego, he didn't have his best game. He didn't have his worst game, but it wasn't his best game by far. They still won by, the skin of their teeth there. It was a heavyweight fight there. I think Missouri's a good football team that's not going to get as much credit just due to the couple losses that they have now gathered, but I do think that they're a very good team. Miami at 10, along with BYU at 10. I don't like the come on, they got the same amount of votes. Who's 10? Miami, BYU. Probably BYU. They're undefeated. Given no reason. But Miami they bounce back wearing those sweet military uniforms. BYU, they're just a gritty team. They're just a gritty team. Notre Dame's 2 losses being A&M and Miami. All they have to do is win out, and they are in the dance. Now, do they get complacent? Will they be content? I think Marcus Freeman will have them playing good down the stretch, but next week we're going to get our first taste of the actual college football playoffs to see where a team sits. 12, you got Texas Tech. Texas Tech after a Arizona State loss. I think that just was again another sign of complacency. But they are real. That Texas Tech team is real. Uh, the loss comes with the backup, so take it as you will. But I mean, they don't care between the lines. Whoever's playing next man up, but I think that is going to play a factor down the stretch with them and the Big 12 as it starts to form. Um, damn, tired. Tennessee. Tennessee is going to be. They're going to be put to a test at home this weekend. That's the beauty of it is. That's the beauty of it is Oklahoma heads to Neyland this weekend. John Mateer has played some college football. Has he played Knoxville, Rocky Top at night? No. That game, that's going to be a test of him. It's also going to be a test of what does Josh Heupel want to do. I've seen his name bounce around a few times for these other jobs. There's a lot of. I personally am don't see him leaving Tennessee, but I also see some other teams that may end up firing their coach because of who's available out there. Like that's one piece of that doesn't really get talked about. Um, Virginia, Virginia's played really tough. They've played some folks really, really tough. You got Louisville, Cincinnati, which Cincinnati has played so good since they lost. I think to Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. But they've kind of just handled business, kept it going. You got Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas. Texas, I don't know what Texas is. 1 week they're up, 1 week they're not. I think Arch is in concussion protocol. I've not heard if he is playing. Probable question. I don't know. Michigan. I'm out on Michigan this year. I don't. I don't think that they have any type of firepower to compete. But they have beat Ohio State, and they're gonna have a lot to play for against Ohio State. So we'll see there. Boom, 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 boom. Houston. I saw Houston. Pete Thamel, I think, was talking or posted that what was it that they NIL spreading out. Top quarterback headed to Houston. That's pretty cool. I think that's I think I've been saying that the NIL is going to cause a lot of teams to be good, and there are some donors or boosters that just want to see a good football team, and they have a lot of money. They're going to make a good football team with a lot of money until regulations are put on it or whatever. USC is 23rd. I think USC. It's not being floated as much, but I think Lincoln Riley might be a name to look out for with. I mean, I'm sure he's just kind of kept USC. Yeah, it really, I guess, just depends on how content they are with what they're doing year after year. At 24, you've got the Utah Utes, and 25 Memphis, which Memphis, South Florida probably should have been game day had Memphis carried what they were supposed to do. Yeah, they lost the week before. Uh, that's that one is what do you do? Um, there are some. I think there's some hot seat names. I like I said, Lincoln Riley. I don't know what's up with Bill Belichick. Is he staying? Is he going? Is he building? Is he not? It's what's up there. I couldn't tell you. Um, Luke Fickle, Wisconsin. They've been mediocre, but is this a is this a coaching cycle that they even want to get involved in? Hugh Freeze, in or out? Is he in or out? Would he take one of these other jobs? Would they even go after him? Probably not. It just depends on how long. Again, and this one's really just if Auburn wants to get involved in this coaching cycle. If they see somebody that is available that sees fit. I think James Franklin probably ends up at Virginia Tech. Now, I was saying this prior to his game day interview. It just feels like the spot for like a fan base that's desperate to win. Virginia Tech has been, they've just been, middle of the road. But are they going after Shane? Are they trying to get, there's a lot of coaching decisions that have to be, I could see, but Shane Beamer said it multiple times. He doesn't really want to, he wants to create his own legacy, and at South Carolina is kind of what he's doing now. I don't know how long the leash is there with him. This was supposed to be a year that they were on the rise, and they weren't. And then Mike Norvell, obviously, Florida State, from some Florida State alum clients, they're apparently going to let him stay till the end of the year. How much does that change? If he were to lose at home to Wake Forest this weekend, I think it would expedite their process pretty quick. You've got Auburn headed up to Kentucky. A lot of people saying Mark Stoops, but I don't see that one. Saying that he's on the hot seat. Could he be? Yeah. Could they see a name that they would like at their program? Sure, but I don't see Mark Stoops in that one being one that's done. You got, as I said, North Carolina at Syracuse. I think it's just a matter of what Bill Belichick's future is. Bill he's not a young cat. I think that it just depends on, I don't know how long he has or how long he wants to do what he's doing. Um, he's we're I don't know. I think in the world what we're in, college football is expected like, oh, 70 transfers, this team's gonna win, and that's just like not reality. Like Kurt Signetti, yeah, he did it. Kurt Signetti killed it with his transfers. Kurt Signetti absolutely has built a force there, and he's deserved every penny of that extension. But to expect that, it's tough. Now, I guess if you have donors that are putting money in, should it be? Maybe, but it's those are high expectations to put on somebody. Um, It's gonna be a pretty pretty full weekend, I think. I think there's gonna be some games that are upsets. Probably shouldn't be called an upset, but I mean we've got like week 10. That Oklahoma Tennessee game is massive. Penn State, Ohio State. Ohio State has everything to lose. Penn State has nothing to lose, and so obviously that's always playing a factor, being loose, etc. Miami, SMU. What's SMU this year? They've not been what they've wanted to be. I mean, they've floated, but from last year to this year, with the returning QB Jennings, I think that they've probably underperformed what they wanted to do. If you were to ask anybody in that, because of what they did last year to get where they went. Vandy goes to Texas. I think this one's one to keep an eye on. That Texas defense is different. If Texas can get the ball moving, Vandy may be in for a rude awakening with that one. But I could be wrong. I'm a fan of Pavia. I mean, his performance against Missouri doesn't change how I feel. I think he's crushing it. Do I think he's the Heisman favorite? No. I think the next game there with Mendoza, I think he is. Like Fernando Mendoza has been bang bang. Awesome. Then you got obviously the world's largest cocktail party, Georgia, Florida, down in Jacksonville. Billy Napier fired 2 weeks ago. Is there going to be an interim head coaching bump? That one puts you in. I've seen some videos circulating of Kirby practicing with his nice things to say during practice. That DJ Lagway has so much potential, and whoever gets that Florida job, hopefully they can get him to stay. He says he's a Gator, but we'll see depending on who's the hire. I think that he can be really good. He's a really good football player. He just needs the people around him to get him there. Texas Tech, Kansas State, Avery Johnson, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is just a fun. Texas Tech is just interesting. They had to. We'll see. That was a 3:30 game. We'll see. USC, Nebraska. I could see Nebraska actually winning this game after they just did what they did and gave up, a couple games that probably should have been won, especially Friday night. Nebraska coming out firing. That one could be a lock for them. Georgia Tech, NC State. That one is a night game, which is going to be good, but I think that Haynes King has that running quarterback style where that travels. So the noise, the atmosphere may not get to him as much as it would, a pocket pat, that type of. Haynes King just has a mentality of go get the first down, and if you can quiet the crowd early, I think they still beat them, but I think that NC State will hold that one close. And then College game day out at Cincy and the Utes out there in Ute. I think that one is going to be. I think Devin Dampier is back. I could be wrong. Brendan Sorsby has been phenomenal, so that one's going to be a good game. it's a late game, especially on the East Coast, so probably won't catch all that, but I will catch the highlights, and they'll be electric. So it's a matter of it's week 10. Next week, we do get our first look at the college football playoff projections. Now we're going to get some noise made from every fan base who believes that they're too low, too high, too whatever. It's going to, I mean, regardless of what fan base it is, somebody's not going to be happy. Probably except Ohio State or Indiana. I don't know. Indiana may be up. Those two could be upset. Who knows? I think if you're in the first projection, regardless of where they put you in that top 8, you there's still a lot of football left to play, and we're gonna see that. That's not just gonna by the wayside. We are getting down to some rivalry games. We are getting down to some playoff eliminator games. I think if we go and let's see, we look at Tennessee, Oklahoma. This one's a playoff eliminator game. You lose it, you're out. Simple as that. That one I don't really know. That one's I think Tennessee probably beats them at home. But that's gonna be. We'll find out. Who's the next coach that's gonna get fired? Who I personally think that they're not gonna make it to the end of the season with Norvell down there in Tallahassee, but I could be wrong. And I've been wrong before, many times. But I think that one is the underwhelming season they had after they beat Alabama is something that they're gonna die on that hill. But it's one of those things. That's college football. It's NIL world, and anybody, anywhere, anytime can get beat. If you show up and they're not playing their best, guess what? They're not gonna put up a fight where they could stand a chance against whomever. You can lose any given Saturday or Friday or whatever day you're playing on. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's games on. Yeah. Any given day you can lose. But I do think that we're gonna have some disgruntled. It's gonna get clearer, I think. Surely, the committee will get it right. Surely, the committee will get it right. They always get it right every year. There's not been any upset fans, right?